We're going to install a new serpentine belt on this B7 Audi A4. In this case, I'm working on a 2006. That's pretty tight in here to get to the accessory belt with a serpentine belt, unless you move this whole assembly out. In this case, I don't want to have to deal with that. It requires moving a few pieces to get it to slide. I'm just going to squeeze this in here, and there's enough room to do it. It's just going to be a bit tricky. The easy part is getting the old belt out. I already did that just with a 17mm wrench. It goes on the tensioner, and then you can loosen it up. You can move the tensioner just like that, and that gives you enough room to slip it off the top belt, and then pretty much it falls off of all the other pulleys and you can pull it out. Here's a different angle of how that tensioner works. You take the wrench, put it on there, and then you can move it back and forth. Now when you take the old belt off, remember which way it wraps around the pulleys. That's a tricky thing to remember. If you ever lose track of what it is, you can just go online and search for the pattern. You'll find images of what you're supposed to wrap it around, what order. But it's nicer if you just remember how it was when you took it off. Now this is going to be just kind of an annoying trial and error process of getting it back around the order that it used to be. So looping it around the pulleys might be a bit tricky to get your hand to fit in there, but I just want to do it without having to slide this back. Now I've got it wrapped around all the pulleys in the correct order, and I did go underneath the car a little bit to play with it, and that helped get some room on those bottom pulleys. Now, last step I like to save is the top alternator, because it's just the easiest to get to. And when you move this tensioner back, it gives you more slack here, so I'm going to extend this pretty much as I can. And we got the belt over. Whenever you're pulling the tension off, this wrench needs to get past these bolts. So when you pull back on it, your wrench can go past them, and that'll release the tension that you need. If the wrench is too far up here and you hit the bolts, you're not going to get enough tension released and you won't be able to get it over that pulley. I just drew up a little diagram of the way that the belt wraps around the pulleys. Up here on top, this is the alternator. Right here is your tensioner. I believe this would be the crank pulley, and then all kinds of different accessories. I don't know those three. But this is the general shape that it takes, and if you need to take a picture of that or something, or just as a reference so you know which way it wraps. Now it might be a little tight in there, but it is possible to do it.